Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Pippadot, Gemma. Good morning to you both. I hope you both had a terrific week. And hydrated, dehydrated. I understood what you meant. Kitty Coo. Good morning, Kitty Coo. Good morning to you. I hope you had a terrific week. Welcome to Page 2 News. For those just joining or watching in rewind, thank you. This is the Page 2 News, true crime stories that have been underreported or missed by the mainstream media in a large part, but particularly those in social media, on here on YouTube and other platforms, because they don't have the sensationalism as other stories do. Nikki H., good morning, and welcome to this morning's Page 2 News. I hope you had a terrific week. Yes, as Kitty Q said, make sure you are on all messages or live messages and not top chat. Top chat is delayed. So you will not see the messages as they actually are posted in the live stream at all. Well, you will see them. You will see them in delay. You just won't see them as notified. Good morning, Francie. Ooh, Francie got a notification this morning. That's a rarity, aren't they? Let's see if I got one. Nope, I did not. But I got notification that someone else is live. Yep. Got notification that another channel that I follow is live, but not me. Good morning, Lemon. Lemon Pie. Good morning to Lemon Pie. I hope you had a terrific week, Lemon Pie. Give it a couple minutes here, and then we're, for everybody to get their notifications as they get them. But to join us. The best thing to do, besides, if you're a subscriber, click that bell notification. I tell everybody to do it, but we all know it doesn't work. YouTube's, quotes here, air quotes. They say if you turn notifications off on one device, it turns it off for all devices. I've never seen that to be true myself, but that's what they say. So if you turn notifications off on your phone, it turns it off your tablet and your computer because you're turning off notifications on their end. That's what they say. And I know it can be overwhelming to be notified by, especially if you follow a lot of different content. But the best thing to do is to get a sticky note or a piece of paper and a piece of Scotch tape and write it down to whatever device you watch, live streams on. Because I go live every Saturday and Sunday at the same exact time. On Saturdays, it's at 8 a.m. and, at Pacific Standard Time, that'd be 9 o'clock Mountain, 10 o'clock Central, and 11 o'clock on Eastern Time Zone. And Sunday for trivia, we play live trivia on Sundays at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 5 o'clock Mountain, 6 o'clock Central, 7 o'clock Eastern. Just time is an hour intervals as you go from the West Coast to the East Coast. Me and Francie love both pies. Key lime pie. Nikki rarely ever get notifications. Same here. I mean, I have another channel that me and my wife, do content on called the Taco Podcast. And with that channel, I subscribe to this channel. And I would say it probably about 60% of the time, I get notifications that I'm live or I've put up new content on this channel. But, and they're completely different email addresses and everything else. But I never get 100% of the notifications. That's the way the system is. I have to leave at 30 minutes. I'll still be listening. Got to take my kiddos to a pool party. Well, have fun and stay safe to the kiddos at the pool party. All right, let's get this morning's page 2 news going. This is Saturday morning live, page 2 news. I know it says this is episode 258 on the screen, but this is actually episode 259. The thumbnail is correct. It's just I couldn't get this one changed in time. These are the news you need to know, the stories others won't dare to cover. News, lives, serial killers, entertainment, and so much more. All right, and we're going to try something new this morning. Look, Will actually is on a window this now, whereas normally on page 2 news, I'm not on the screen until in the beginning and end. So hopefully the format actually fits, and I'm not covering up what's on the screen. Will in his little window. Okay, it's a bubble, but hey. Maybe it'll be an oval or a rounded square next time. It's not meaning that the edges are not pointed, they're rounded off. No shout outs this week from last week. The more you need to know. Courts. In the U.S., in court systems, most cases never go to trial. And something else you need to know about the courts is the prosecution doesn't always have to work, hard to build the case. And a lot of times when it comes to the prosecuting attorney, you, the defendant, have done everything for them already. All they have to do is just lay out the documentation, and you've already given them. Maybe you gave them statements. Maybe the police have done their reports, and all they got to do is just read off of the actual things. They don't have to actually do any investigation or any hard work to prove a case against you. And lastly, the state doesn't need to convict you to keep you locked up for years. There was a fourth, but I had to cut it off of there for space reasons. There are a lot of people who serve extended amounts of time in jail because they cannot afford bail. There have been people who have they have waited in jail for 2-3 years before the case actually gets to court because they can't afford bail. You might think, well, what about your rights to a speedy trial? Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be for everyone. They can say, look, the prosecution's not ready and file an extension or get you to waive your rights to a speedy trial. But you can sit in jail for years on end waiting for your court, your case to work its way through the system. And you haven't even been convicted yet. And then once the case comes to to the point where the prosecution can't delay it, or the defense attorney, if you have one, can't delay it anymore, they can say, look, you've already been here for 2 years and you would have gotten 8 months for this crime. We'll just call it time served. Or maybe you would have gotten 2 years and you've already did 2 years. We'll just call it time served. Because, well, you've already waited all that time. And they don't even have to convict you to keep you in jail. That is the truth about it. Dee Dee, thank you very much for the super chat. I appreciate that. It's nice to see you again, Dee Dee. I hope you've been doing well. Sprinkled Donut, good morning. And Dee Dee got notification. That's great. All right, public service announcement. If a suspect or a coworker might be a serial killer, it's crucial to prioritize your safety and the safety of others while also ensuring you're not jumping to conclusions without sufficient evidence. Do not take your concerns that your coworker may be a serial killer to human resources. Don't do it. Report what you know and can prove to the police instead. And do not approach your coworker and ask them, hey, Gary Ridgway, are you a serial killer? because they're not going to just tell you, they don't have to by law tell you, you know what, I am a serial killer. Old business, updates, corrections, leftover tidbits from weeks before. Sun Valley, Los Angeles. This is a story from last week that I had on page 2 news. A federal bust ended in the arrest of 13 suspects linked to Armenian organized crime ring. Last week, I mistakenly said American organized crime instead of Armenian. Also, somebody had commented that the photo that I used only shows 6 suspects and not 13. The reason for that is the rest of them did not have a booking photo that had been released to the Associated Press. So I could have showed you 6 photos of individuals, and then the rest of them would just be like an outline of an individual. That was not my fault. I just decided, look, here are the 6 that have been, booking photos that have been released, and here they are. Mendez brothers, out of the California, update on the case of the Mendez brothers. That's Eric and Lyle Mendez, who killed their parents. California Governor Gavin Newsom will not grant clemency before the Parole and Probation Department has had its hearing. He is going to await for their hearing with the Parole and Probation Department before he decides if he's going to give them clemency and release them from prison. The likelihood is that the Parole and Probation Department is going to release them on parole in July. New business. Stories from around the U.S. news channels and content creators of news, and that's in quotes, channels ignore or won't cover. You're a fool for believing them. Yes, that is Jeffrey Epstein. The FBI says it will release video officials say proof that Jeffrey Epstein died by suicide. Oddly, the cameras that were in the jail pod that night did not, show anyone going in, supposedly. But they say that the FBI says they're going to release the video soon that proves that Jeffrey died by suicide. Want to know who visited his island? They have no plans to release the list. This is the FBI. Because those that did visit are still in power. The FBI says the information contained could compromise national security. And yes, we have seen multiple people say that they're going to release the complete list, unredacted, of all the people who visited Jeffrey Epstein's island. They're not. And we're all fools. We are all fools for believing that they ever would. Speculation about the island has been rampant. And in the United States, each political party has attempted to frame the narrative to suggest that it was solely members of the opposing party. And if you don't see it, just look up any article online. Pick one from Fox, pick one from ABC. They always blame the other side because they are slanted media for one side over another. The truth is more complex. Jeffrey Epstein surrounded himself with individuals who shared certain traits. Those who disrespected women. 2, they craved power and were susceptible to blackmail. Or 3, could be leveraged for financial and political gain. Does this sound like anyone you know who may be in power? And I'm not talking about just the president. I'm talking from everyone who visited his island, who knew him, that is in power right now. Think about those who are in power. Are they disrespectful to women, crave power, and are susceptible to blackmail, and could be leveraged for financial or political gain? This is why they're not going to release the unredacted list of who went. Even the files that in the leaks that have been out there, they're so redacted, or they are not a complete report of who visited the island. And we're all fools for believing that they are ever going to do it. Can I go home now? Yes. This sick son of a beep wants to go home. That, of course, that's Josh Duggar, in case you didn't realize who that was. On Tuesday, May 27th, the 37-year-old wrote a letter to a judge presiding over the case requesting a court-appointed attorney. According to documents obtained by AP News Service, Duggar claimed he does not have enough money to pay a lawyer as he continues to fight against his 2022 conviction on charges of recipient of possession of child pornography. A quote from that actual letter that he wrote to the judge: "I am unable to afford counsel due to my current financial situation," he wrote. The filing went on to reveal that Duggar, who is currently serving over 12 years in federal prison, is seeking legal assistance to help evaluate whether there were constitutional violations in his case, and if appropriate, prepared a motion to vacate, set aside, or correct my conviction and sentence. Duggar alleged that his trial involved complex constitutional and evidentiary issues, particularly relating to legal rulings and strategy decisions made during the proceedings, and errors in the admission of forensic evidence. This is what he wrote in the letter to the judge. As time has unfolded, new legal theories and strategies have emerged in public discourse that may be relevant to the defendant's case, the document alleged. In light of these developments, the defendant seeks to consult with counsel and fully evaluate the potential of these emerging strategies and how they may support a motion for relief. The news comes married, he has 7 children, worked diligently to focus on in prison. This is a quote: "He worked diligently to focus on education, personal growth, his faith, and maintain his strong family ties." Nowhere in the letter does it ever say that he is sorry for what he did. While incarcerated, filed an appeal in October of 2023. After it was rejected, he took it to the state Supreme Court, where it was once again denied a year later. Since his initial conviction, his family has filed 11 complaints with the Department of Corrections, that is the DOC, and the BOP, which is the Bureau of Prisons. They have filed 11 complaints seeking to have his conviction overturned and to be moved to a prison closer to home. Josh doesn't want to be, at Seago Federal Penitentiary. He wants to be at a federal penitentiary that is closer to his mommy and daddy, and presumably his kids and his wife. But he wants out of prison. Please let me go. And there are a lot of people out there, as sick and disgusting as Josh Duggar is, believe that he is innocent and that he has been set up. And they are raising money to not only aid in his legal defense, but to get him out of prison and make sure that him and Anna are taken care of. Yeah, this is real, ladies and gentlemen. This is the world we live in. Josh was never convicted for molesting his sisters and their friends or the babysitter. No, he was only convicted for receiving and paying for the child pornography and images and snuff films of a little girl being murdered after she had been sexually abused. These are the things that Josh Duggar was found guilty of, but not the others. But he wants out, and other people believe he was set up. It's the world we live in. Reality TV after pardon in hours. Todd and Julie Christie went from behind bars to in front of the cameras. Todd, 57, revealed during a press conference on Friday, May 30th, that he and his wife, 52, that'd be Julie Christie, started filming a reality literally the night that he got home after being pardoned by President Donald Trump on Tuesday, May 27th. Todd was officially released the following day on the 28th. But they are back at it, started to film another reality TV, the Christies, Todd and Julie Christie. because that's what we want to tune in for, I guess. I don't know. Next story is I Believe I Can Fly. Sing it. A Kansas man is facing charges after he allegedly grabbed a flight attendant and dragged them up the aisle of the plane. Julius Jordan Priester, 24, from Kansas, was arrested and charged with assaulting a crew member on a flight leaving from Bradley International Airport to Hartford, Connecticut, according to a statement from the Department of Justice. Several people on the plane said that he asked or tried to open the door to the plane while it was in flight, or and others said that he motioned or asked how to open the door while holding on to the flight attendant. Next story is wanted. Former Arkansas and decade-long sentence for brutal hard R, and murder when he escaped from Calico Rock Prison Sunday by disguising himself as a makeshift law enforcement uniform. You can actually see the videos and pictures of this, man. He got a hold of a pair of black slacks and a black shirt, and the back of it, he made the letters that said law enforcement or something. It's hard to tell from the actual pictures and video, but he made himself out to look like he was a law enforcement officer wheeling a cart out of the prison. The ongoing search for Grant Hardin, age 56, has sparked urgent warnings from local law enforcement, put residents of a small northwest Arkansas town on the edge, and reignited feelings of hurt and pain that the family of the one victim had tried to bury. Several law enforcement agencies across the state are assisting with the search for Hardin, whose crimes were featured in the 2023 Max documentary, The Devil in the Ozarks. While he was chief of police, he assassinated another, I believe he was a city council member, and shot and killed him. While in prison, they tested his DNA and it came back that he had raped, I'm sorry for using the word, and I'll get demonetized for it, but he did that years prior to a school teacher, an elementary school teacher. But this man was never to be released from prison. He was destined to die behind the prison walls, and now he is out. Again, this is his photo. That is Hardin. He is out there somewhere. Grant Hardin. FBI press releases. See something, say something. News and information from the FBI press releases from the past week. These are just links that you can click on and read later if you want. The first one is about a crypto scam that is still ongoing, and the next one is about an individual who was a drug dealer who robbed another drug dealer who actually has been convicted and sent to prison. But these are press releases from the FBI themselves. Serial killer and killer corner. You will die to get away. News from around the world regarding the investigation into serial killers and murderers. Another victim has been added to the list of Randy Kraft after 45 years since the murder. Randy Kraft. I'm sure we all know who Randy Kraft, the serial killer, is. Well, that is him on the left, when he was out killing, and on the right is what it looked like in prison on his ID. A man who was found dead along Interstate 5 in Oregon has been identified after 45 years, and police say the notorious California serial killer is the sole person of interest in the case. Since this actual release, they have now determined that they have found Randy Kraft's DNA at the scene. It doesn't say if his DNA was found on the individual, but his DNA was found there. The 30-year-old was identified Friday as Larry Eugene Parks. Oregon State Police spokesman Kyle Kennedy said that Randy Kraft who has been dubbed the scoreboard killer, is the only person under investigation for the 1980 killing. There was some evidence that we're processing, and that's what I'm talking about, the DNA that that linked. Kennedy said, "We are very confident that we have the correct person of interest." Kraft, now 80, convicted in 1989 of brutalizing and killing 16 men over a decade in California and was sentenced to death. He remains incarcerated at San Quentin State Prison and has denied killing anyone. An Iowa teen believed to be one of the earliest victims of the notorious California serial killer was identified in 2023, 49 years after the murder. In July 18th of 1980, police responded to a report of a body now identified as Parks along I-5 south of Portland near Woodburn. Police opened a homicide investigation at the time and were unsuccessful in trying to identify the victim. Parks, a Vietnam veteran whose family had lost contact with him in 1979, had last been seen in Pensacola, Florida, police said. The scoreboard killer, Randy Kraft. Entertainment news. News from music, from film, literature, and more that features the moments that celebrities wish had never happened along stories you as a crime buff might find interesting. Hot Lips Houlihan has passed on. Lori died this past week. The actress publicist Harlan Boll confirmed the news on Friday, May 30th, that Swift died in the early morning hours on Friday of natural causes at her New York City home. The Hollywood Reporter was the first to report the news. They made mistakes. The actress was best known playing Major Margaret J. Hot Lips Houlihan, head nurse on the Korean War TV series on CBS MASH from 1972 to 1983. The role earned her 2 Primetime Emmy Awards and an Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Comedy Series, 4 Golden Globe nominations, and a TV Land Impact Award. Hot Lips Houlihan has now passed on. May she rest in peace. Questions asked to me this week, some comical, some serious, some just bizarre in nature. Comical, bizarre, and serious, all as they come. First one, will we see any how they made mistakes in 2025? The answer is yes. I have a couple of episodes I've already that are ready to be released, but they won't start until June, which is tomorrow. Or say the 31st, right? Yeah, today's the 31st, tomorrow. So they won't start until Monday or Tuesday, sometime this week, in the coming week. But thank you for the question. Fact or fake? Stories shared on the internet and passed on to you as real stories. Some are real, some are completely made up. Your job is to sniff out the real story. All you need to do is answer A, B, or C. Again, only one story is real. The other 2 are fake. You don't need to tell me which ones are fake. Just find the real story in the group. Story A. What started off as a joke in 1976 in the township, now the city of Medora, South Dakota, decides what new taxes and reforms must be talked about by playing a game of rock, paper, scissors. Don't worry, it's the best out of 3 and not just one quick game. Is this the real story, or is this one of the fake stories? Wait until the answer to all 3 stories have been read to you, so you can decide which one is real and out of the 3. Story B. In New Zealand, before any new law is passed, a piece of paper with the law proposed is placed in a metal tin and tumbled around like a bingo ball tumbler. One at a time, they are taken out and debated. Nothing in the tin. They just simply do nothing for the entire session and go home. If no laws are put in there, they just go home. That's it. All right, we'll just go home until the next time. Story C. Would you like to be the mayor? In the city of Manawawi, Nebraska, you can become mayor for a filing fee of just $31.18 if the resident allows you to run. Yes, that's a singular, as there is only one resident of Maui. The fee is $31.18 is to hold the election and to notify the resident of the position and to hold one legal debate. But you can become mayor for $31.18. Is this the real story, or is it B, or is it A? I'll give you a couple of minutes to think about which one of these is the real story, A, B, or C. Good morning, Broken Justice. Good morning, Cheryl. Welcome to this morning's Page 2 News. I hope you had a terrific weekend. I'm glad you could be here with us this morning. And anyone else that I may have missed, welcome to this morning's Page 2 News. Kitty Coo liked MASH. I also liked F Troop and Hogan's Heroes. Abigail Commandant. Sergeant Schultz. I always got a kick out of the pudgy, comical, rants of Schultz and how dim-witted he played. Because in real life, I knew that, and I read a story about him from back in the day about him, when he was a stage actor, before making it onto the Hollywood, screen, I guess you could call it, a TV series for Hogan's Heroes. He was actually a brilliant individual. It was kind of funny knowing that how brilliant he was, and then him watching him play, a dim-witted, German soldier, in Hogan's Heroes. Oh my God, I know this was wrong. A, B, and C all seem true, says Francie. I never watched much F Troop or MASH. Oh, Kitty Coo. I mean, I've seen them, but I've just never watched a whole lot of them. Which one of the stories is true? A, B, or C? Well, the correct answer for which one of the stories is true this week is stories B and C. If you answered either B or C, you are correct. B is the story about New Zealand. Whenever it comes to new taxes, laws, or anything else, they're put into a round tin with a slot that's been cut in the top, and they tumble it around like a bingo ball tumbler. And then they open the can up and they reach in and they grab one, and that's how they decide the order of anything that they're going to debate: taxes, laws, anything in the country of New Zealand. And they have done this for a long time. There are records and people who, articles in the paper going back to the 1970s and 60s about people talking about how peculiar it is. Well, it all started over one group wanted their issues talked about first, and the other one said, "Nah, man, we don't have enough time, in the session to get to everyone. We got to think of a better way to give each side an equal chance to debate and talk about the issues that that's important to your group and their political party." So that's what they came up with. We'll just put them in a tumbler and tumble them around and then pull them out one at a time. It's a chance of it all, because they're all on the same size of pieces of paper. None of them are different from each other, and it's worked all these years. And frankly, I think it's a pretty good idea. Story C is for $31.18. You can become mayor in the city of Monawi, in Nebraska. There is only one woman who lives in the town. She is the sole resident. Right now, she is the mayor. She is the law enforcement. She is the librarian, and she runs the local pub. She gets visitors in town that spend money at the pub, eating, and stopping in for having a drink. But there is only one resident there. And for $31.18 in the bar, there's a sign that breaks down. You can become the librarian for X amount of money. You can become the mayor for so much, because she needs to file and she does everything by the book. All right. When it comes to mayor, if you want to become mayor, there must be one legal debate. Then all the residents, it says in the actual charter for the city, that they must be notified correctly. So it must be put into print, and it must be sent by certified mail. Yeah, I know it's ridiculous, her being the only postal worker, and only person who runs the entire town, but she follows the rules. She has to file and send herself a letter, being the only resident, and she has to then stamp it and everything else. But the total cost is $31.18 as of 2025 to become mayor. Now, you do have to live there and have residency in the town. That's an additional, but you could move there for free. I mean, whatever the hell it costs you if you want to move there. And she may be very welcoming to anyone who moves there. She's not going to take in just any old riffraff that comes along. You have to have some kind of skill set or something. And there are several homes in the town itself that are near the bar and by the library that are vacant at this time. But she's refusing to give up. Where other people who've lived there have moved away to other farming communities in and around in Nebraska, she still does it. But again, if you answered B or C this week, you are correct. Now, I do not have a link to the story about how to become mayor in the town. You can go there and visit her, and she'd be more than happy to, have a visitor, but also to explain to you about it. Ask your viewers a question. Did the human understanding of beauty and perspective on what is normal change alongside the pioneering and adoption of widescreen television? Think about it for a minute before you're answering. Did the human understanding of beauty and perspective on what is normal change alongside the pioneering and adoption of widescreen television? Really something to ponder. Think about it. I mean, you don't have to answer it, but you can think about it, ponder it, and tell me tomorrow during trivia. Tomorrow's trivia is on Karen Read. Karen Read is this week's trivia subject matter. Again, at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 5 o'clock Mountain, 7 o'clock in the Eastern Time Zone, obviously 6 o'clock Central, or 12 midnight if you're in the UK. And good morning, Kevin Brand. Kitty Q, okay, got to drive. I'll still listen, but in case I'm not back before it ends, thank you, Will and Mods and chat. See you tomorrow for trivia. You take care. Welcome, Kevin Brand, all the way from South Carolina. Francie, you win. I find these stories, though, fact or fake stories, alarming, but also funny at the same time. Because remember, the criteria behind each and every one of the stories, story A, B, and C, in case you're watching this now or you're watching it later, each and every one of those stories has been shared on the internet a minimum of 100,000 times. Most of the stories that I share on the fact or fake are shared in the millions of times. People just keep on reposting the links over and over again. It's kind of like, think of Think of the satire news organization, The Onion. The Onion has been picked up by mainstream media and even people within the White House who have reported the stuff on The Onion as being real. It's satire. So, some people realize this stuff is satire, and other people don't understand that it's satire. It's kind of like posting, something from the Onion or Funny or Die as real, and reporting it as real and in a serious issue. So that's how these stories get passed around. And then people read them, they're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that. Well, it's got to be true. I just read it because they made me see the link on ABC or Fox or CNN or whatever, whoever's reposting it. They think that's the article from them when it's actually them just reposting it. So that's how these things go around. But they have tens of thousands of likes and upvotes, from Reddit. That's where the only upvotes come from. Sherry Papin, new documentary. Just saw some stuff about her the other day. I mean, like, anyone seen it yet? No, but no for me for that on Francie. Brand new, like yesterday. I did see it come across on my news feed about it, um, along with the Holloway. Um, there's a new documentary or interview with those who were involved in the Holloway case. That was all over my newsfeed of both those, along with Karen Read, and of course Lori Vallow. But I pretty much ignore most of the things on Lori Vallow. And I did have someone else, ask me why is the state of Arizona going after, prosecuting Lori since she already has a life sentence in Idaho. And to answer that question, why is Arizona doing this? Well, first off, the family of Brandon Boudreaux deserve justice for them trying to kill him for the life insurance money. Melanie, his wife at the time, they were definitely, it was most likely Alex Cox who shot at him and tried to kill him in his Jeep for the life insurance money so Melanie would get it, because she was just involved in this doomsday prophecy, belief as Lori and Chad. But we also need to make sure that she's prosecuted for Charles, for what, the murder of Charles, and the family of Charles deserve justice as well. Now, it's never going to happen. Well, let's just hypothetically say for some reason, and there isn't any grounds at all that it would ever happen, but let's say that Lori Vallow was to get her sentence in Idaho reduced or thrown out because of some whatever, black magic that they spell that they're able to pull. It's never going to happen. But let's just hypothetically say that the state of Idaho, the conviction there was tossed and she was to walk free. Well, she wouldn't walk free. She would then be transported to Arizona to serve out the sentence there. So think of it as more of insurance. Now, the state of Arizona could have said, well, we're going to save the money and we're going to hold these these charges over here in case she ever got out and then prosecute her for it. They could have done that. But along with that, people's memories and evidence fades away. So if maybe she does 10 years in Idaho and then the conviction is thrown out, well, all that evidence in Arizona would be an additional 10 years old and people's memories fail, and they don't forget things. I mean, do you remember what you ate last Tuesday for breakfast? And now you personally may remember, but a lot of people don't remember, even a week ago, and how much of a detail are they going to remember from that period of time? So that's why the state of Arizona is prosecuting her. I heard that the old Sherry Pepin is telling more lies in the new documentary. Yeah, I'm sure she is. I'm sure it's filled with all kinds of stories and little tidbits that she wants to skew things a little bit more. She's a nut, that's for damn sure. Just to let you all know, I have to leave. I have to take off here in about 10 minutes. I'm playing in a golf tournament today, and I got about if there's no traffic, about a 35-minute drive before I get there. And I want to go hit the driving range a little bit before we play today. It's for charity. We're playing for the United Way. Sorry, I'm scrolling up, and if anybody said anything, I'm way up top here. Ricky Gervais. I think Ricky Gervais is funny as hell. Yeah, I don't understand the pardon for the Christies. I can tell you how it happened though, if you really want to know. During the run up for this election for presidency for the United States for Donald J. Trump, and this is all documented. You can look it up if you don't believe me. I'm not being political one side against another, but this is how it happened. The Christies were convicted. They were sent to federal prison, and leading up to their actual time in prison and everything else, and Trump being elected, one of their, I think it was Todd Christie's mother, made a $1 million donation to the Trump campaign. And with that, the promise, if you can put quotes around that's alleged promise, that they would pardon both of them. They bought their way out of prison. It's as simple as it is. It's all documented. Again, I'm not making that up, and I'm not being one side or the other. It happens all the time. People who get pardons, and political favors are done for them because they have money. Again, it's just another example how the rich are screwing everyone else at the bottom. And if you look at the crimes of the Christies and what they did, it took from us. Okay? And the $1 million bought them out their way out of prison. They bought them their pardon. Oh, thank you, Pippadot. I appreciate that. Super chat. And you have a great day as well. I got to take off here in about 40 seconds myself. So I'm going to wrap this up, ladies and gentlemen. Francie, I'm probably going to have some toast and a like an energy bar before I leave. That's what's for breakfast because I have to head to the golf course. But everyone, thank you again. I hope that you will again tune in for trivia night. For Karen Reed. That is tomorrow night at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 5 o'clock Mountain, 7 o'clock on Eastern Time Zone, or 12 p.m. midnight if you're in the UK. Again, tomorrow's trivia is all on Karen Read and the Karen Read trials, plural. That is tomorrow night. In the meantime, everyone, you all have a terrific day. I hope to again see you tomorrow. So take care. Bye. No, Pippadot. I don't think that any of us are really fools. And yeah, maybe I worded that incorrectly, but we are fools for all believing it. To some extent, we were, because a lot of people really believed that they would release that information.